On January 15th, the President of France is convening a major international conference on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Some 70 countries are expected to attend. It's not at all clear whether there'll be any Palestinian delegation attending. They have given mixed signals. But Israel has been very firm that it will not attend and that it objects to the whole idea of this conference. Why? Well, now we know that on January 17th, again the UN will reconvene and it will probably discuss the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and if there is a conclusion to this meeting in Paris, that conclusion may find its way to New York. This is objectionable to Israel. What Israel learned through many years of negotiations and diplomacy, from the days of Abba Eban to the period of Benjamin Netanyahu, was that the only way we resolve our differences with our neighbors is by sitting face to face at the peace table. That's how we reached peace with Egypt in 1979, when Menachem Begin, Prime Minister of Israel, sat with Anwar Sadat. That is exactly how we reached peace with Jordan, when Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin sat face to face with King Hussein. That is what works, direct negotiations. What is being planned in Paris, first and foremost, gets us away from those direct talks at the peace table into a very complex world of multilateral negotiations with different players. When the earlier conference was held in June of this year in Paris, it was followed by an idea that the French put forward of having working groups. Working groups not made up of Israel and the Palestinians, but made up of various European countries who would talk about security in the Middle East, who would talk about state building in the Middle East, who would talk about the issues that are supposed to be talked about at the peace table. They would instead be discussed in Stockholm, Berlin, in Prague, and in various capitals of Europe. That's not how we made peace in the past, and that's not how we'll make peace in the future. There's another reason why direct negotiations are vital and why multilateral negotiations won't work. For us to end the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we have to have reconciliation between the two sides. The only kind of understanding that you can get to if the sides are really talking to each other and not at each other. What is the Israeli concern if we don't reach that point of an end of claims and end of conflict? What could easily happen is irredentist claims from a future Palestinian state on the heart of Israel, because they'll say they never actually decided that they accepted the finality of diplomacy. And that could easily happen in this kind of multilateral salad that's being prepared for Israel in Paris and whatever would follow up from it. There's another question on the minds of Israelis who look at the international discussion about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It's being proposed that a new Palestinian state be created. But what kind of a state will it be? The very day that many diplomats are meeting in Paris to talk about how to move forward in resolving Israeli-Palestinian differences, the Fatah movement, which is the movement of Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, and Hamas are meeting in Moscow to create a reconciliation between them. Now, in the last 2 years, Hamas has invested enormous efforts in creating an alliance with the branch of ISIS located in northern Sinai. So Paris is setting Israel up for an international discussion of its future without real reconciliation being reached. And Moscow is setting up a very disturbing meeting between Fatah and Hamas that will put an internationally recognized terrorist organization into the mix. So what's going to lead to peace? The conferences in Paris and in Moscow, or direct negotiations between Israel and the Palestinian side?